Hey guys! Welcome back to my channel, Made Between the Pages. My name is Taylor, and today I'm bringing you a video I'm super excited about. So I've never done a readathon before, and I mentioned in my BookTube newbie tag that I was a huge Harry Potter fan. And in the month of April, there's something called the O.W.L.s readathon, which is a Harry Potter based readathon, and it was created by O.W.L.s, I believe. So I can put the link to the explanation video down below, but I am so excited that my first readathon is Harry Potter based. You have no idea. So the basis of this is that the creator of it, O.W.L.s, put a lot of work into it, and she created a guidebook for different magical careers, and you can pick the magical career that you want to pursue from the guidebook, and then each career has a set list of required OWLs or tests that you need to take, and then each required test has an associated prompt. So depending on what career you choose to pursue, you may have to read more books, might have to read less books, but either way you're gonna have to read a list of books based on those prompts. So because I'm extra, I chose one of the or maybe because I'm excited, I'm not sure. No, definitely because I'm extra. But I chose the Hogwarts Professor, which has quite a few OWLs and prompts associated with it, or O.W.L.s. So, the first prompt that I have to complete is Defense Against the Dark Arts, which is a book set at sea or at the coast. So I actually don't have a physical book that matches this prompt, but I've decided to read The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I don't have the physical book, so sorry about that. But I don't know, I know the general premise of the book is about a boy who finds a book written about him, I believe, and then it's a bunch of magical, lyrical writing from there. If you've read Erin Morgenstern before, like The Night Circus, you know that her writing is very flowery and very immersive, so she really puts you into that world. You can taste it, you can touch it. And so I don't know if it's actually taking place at the sea, but sea is in the name, so I'm gonna say it counts for Defense Against the Dark Arts. So book number 1 is gonna be The Starless Sea. Book number 2 is Transfiguration, the Animagus Lecture. So it has to be a book that includes some kind of shape-shifting. I actually do have one on hand that I think matches this really well, and that is 1,000 Beginnings and Endings. This is a short story collection that's based in Asian myths and legends. And I live in Japan, which I've mentioned in almost every video so far, but I love the mythology of this country and of Asian countries in general, and they tend to really lean towards shape-shifting. I don't know if you've heard of a kitsune, or there are a bunch of other types of mythological creatures that include shape-shifting. So while I don't know 100% there's going to be a shape-shifting story in here, I have a strong hunch that there will be. So I don't think it's cheating. So I'm going to read this collection for my Transfiguration O.W.L. So my third prompt was Ancient Runes, and the focus of this class is the Heart Rune, so you have to read a book with the heart on the cover. So I've decided that I'm going to read Difficult Women by Roxane Gay. So I mentioned in my best books of 2019 that I read Not That Bad by Roxane Gay, and that one's about rape culture. Stories of people who have to live with rape culture in their lives, and it really hit home for me. So Roxane Gay didn't actually write all of the collections, but she curated them. And this one is, I'm assuming, about difficult women. I don't know much more than that, because again, it's a short story collection. I'm not usually a short story collection person. So that's 2 in a row, but hey, for going outside of your comfort zone, I guess that's what, readathons are supposed to do, right? So yes, this has a heart on the cover. I've seen some mixed reviews. Some people really liked it, some people didn't like it at all. But that's the nature of a short story collection, I think. So I'm excited to read something else by Roxane Gay, and this has been on my shelf for a long time. So This is going to meet the Ancient Runes O.W.L. This one's kind of a little bit of a longer prompt, so I'm going to look at it real quick. Number 4 is arithmancy. So the magical properties of number 2. Read something outside of your comfort zone, so it's opposites or balance. So I guess I have quite a few outside of my comfort zone already, but for this one I also don't physically have, but I did mention in previous videos that I wanted to read more Frederick Bachman. I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly, by the way, but correct me if I'm not. But I read Beartown by him, and it was one of my favorite books of 2019. I adored it. So I want to read more of his collections. So I'm going to read A Man Called O.W.L.s, I think is how you say, O.W.L.s, I think. I haven't read any more of his books yet because I haven't been ready to ugly cry, if I'm being honest, because his books tend to do that to you. But one of the awesome things I've found through BookTube is I've found people in my family who read that I didn't know were readers. So I have a member of my family that I'm going to be buddy reading A Man Called O.W.L.s with, which I'm super excited because I never would have imagined we would be doing that together. So I'm really excited to have my first buddy read, especially with someone that I didn't know I could do that with. So I'm really excited for that. And that's going to be the arithmancy O.W.L. Prompt number 5 is Care of Magical Creatures. Now, listen. I think a lot of people are doing this one for this book and for this prompt because you have to read a book with a beak on the cover. I'm going to be reading Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. Like I said, listen. I know I got the Waterstones exclusive edition with the sprayed edges, but I'm not a huge Sarah J. Maas fan. So you might be wondering, Taylor, why did you spend the money to ship this new book to yourself with the special edges if it's not one of your favorite authors? And I'm asking myself that same question. Honestly, I think the hype just got to me and I was like, oh my god, I have to read it, it's so beautiful. And because I'm extra, like I said earlier, I had to go all the way. So since I have this beautiful edition, I figure I might as well read it, of course. So I did enjoy A Court of Mist and Fury. So the second one in that A Court of Thorns and Roses series, which is everyone's like fan favorite, also my fan favorite. But I read a lot of her Throne of Glass series. Maybe I think I got to Air of Fire, maybe. And I was enjoying the later books much more than the earlier books, so I'm kind of opposite to public opinion on that. I prefer the later books, but I never finished it. But I don't hate her writing at all. I'm not a hater and I'm not a stan, really, so I'm in the middle. So I am excited to read this because I haven't read like an urban fantasy in a long time, and I'm kind of in a romancy mood actually, so this one's going to be really fun for me, I think. Even though it's big, I've heard you can read it quickly, so sorry, I can't stop showing the edges, it's so pretty. Purely a cover buy. But anyway, so this is going to be the Care of Magical Creatures one. I'm excited to see if it's worth the hype, since the hype got me in the end. Okay, the next one is Muggle Studies, or a book from the perspective of a Muggle, meaning contemporary. So I've mentioned on this channel multiple times that my goal is to kind of incorporate some Japanese influences into my channel. So right now my Japanese reading level is not enough for novels, so I'm focusing on manga at the moment. So I have 2 here that I haven't decided which one I'm going to do for this prompt. But the first one here is one that I talked about in my Best Books of 2019. This is just the 3rd one, I believe. 3rd one? Yes. And this is Hanazakari no Kimitachi e, or Hanakimi. If you Google Hanakimi, it'll come up. And the English translation is For You in Full Bloom. So I mentioned before that this is a very cutesy, very slice-of-life, romancy manga. And the main character here disguises herself as a boy to go enter into an all-boys school. And because it's a romance-based manga, obviously, she ends up falling in love with a guy at the school who thinks she's a guy. And it's just a really cute, fun, humorous manga. So I want to read the third one this month, possibly, because I'm doing a reread in Japanese. I had read it in English before in middle school, I think, so this is not a new series, but I highly recommend it. Or I'm going to read this one. This is a new series. I haven't read it yet. As you can see, it's quite short, and I believe there are only 8 volumes, so it should be easier for me to get through. And this one is called Tomo-chan wa Onanoko. And it means that this is Tomo-chan, and it says she is a girl. So I believe it's about this girl who like confesses to this guy and says, I'm in love with you, whatever. And then this guy says, oh, I love you too, like a friend. So she's slapped in the face and friend-zoned in the beginning of this. So I think it's a romance story about how that relationship develops, but that's all I know. I've only seen maybe a couple panels from it, so it's interesting. Usually they're not uniform panels, but this one is almost like a webtoon style, so I don't know. It's new. My boyfriend recommended it to me because he read them and said that he found them really funny. So I'm gonna check this out possibly for the Muggle Studies Owl, one of those 2 mangas. The last prompt is Charms, Lumos Maxima, so mostly white cover. For this one, I'm going to be doing Arcanum Unbounded. This is, I kind of started reading a couple of stories, you can see the tabs, but this is again a short story collection. What is up with me? This is the month of short stories. But this is by Brandon Sanderson, as you can see. If you've watched my previous videos, or if you can see behind me, I'm a Brandon Sanderson fan. So this is a short story collection from his Cosmere universe, and it includes short stories that are in a bunch of different worlds. If you don't know, the Cosmere is like the universe that Brandon Sanderson writes in, and there are multiple worlds within that universe. So this has stories from all the different worlds, and I have now read all of his Cosmere works except this. So before Stormlight 4 comes out, the Stormlight Archive number 4 comes out in November, I believe. So I want to read these stories before that. And I also want to do a reread of the Stormlight Archive books, which are about 1,000 pages. So I'm going to read maybe one every month, maybe, in the lead up to that. So I wanted to do this first. So it's kind of big, but I feel like since it's little stories, I'll be able to take it little by little. So this is going to be my Charms, mostly white cover pick for my owl. So for now, that completes my O.W.L.s Readathon TBR. There are this year, I know that Book Roast had introduced like certificates that you can add on top of your career. So if I find that I have extra time, which I don't know, this is quite a bit of reading, but if I find that I have extra time, I am interested in doing the dragon training one. I know you're supposed to have picked a career as a prerequisite for that, so I have to do a little more research, but the prompt for that one is to read an extra book with dragons, and I really want to read Rage of Dragons. Daniel Green and Murphy Napier, 2 of the people that I really enjoy following on here, have both read it and loved it. So I'm in the mood for a dragon fantasy right now, so if I have time, I might add that certificate based on the rules. I have to do a little more research, like I said, but Rage of Dragons is definitely really high up on my list for something that I want to read. To finish out this video, I want to say I'm sorry about the lighting. Today is very overcast, but this is the only time I had to film, so it is what it is. But I did buy a ring light, so hopefully when it arrives, it should arrive at some point today, maybe while I'm at work though, but it should arrive at some point today. So my future videos will hopefully have better lighting because of that ring light. So, but I wanted to get this out there before the end of March. So yeah, I'm really excited to get started with my first readathon. Let me know if you're interested in these same books, what your O.W.L.s TBR is for yourself, whether we've got some things in common. I'm really interested to hear and talk to people about what they're going to be reading because, like I said, it's my first one. It's Harry Potter based. I'm hyped all the way. So Leave your TBR in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about my TBR. And again, bear with me for the lighting. It will get better, I promise. But for now, I'm gonna head out. See you guys later. 짠해!